fast is.
What? Don't play with me.
Okay.
My heartstrings. I love that song.
That's fast. Okay, all right.
All right, what I have here is I love the vocals in the chorus. Your voice has this Eastern subtlety to it. And I'll explain.
All right, okay.
It's almost like you occasionally lick into a different scale outside of Western music norms. That's what I feel whenever I'm listening to some of the tail ends of your vocals. Yeah, and I felt like Fast really pulls it out for me.
Your sister.
Yeah.
Your sister again.
It's that lick.
Oh.
Yeah. It's very...
Wow.
You just noticed?
No. I'm just thinking about like you noticed it, and now I notice it more because of it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you would perceive it in that way because I've never heard that.
I know. The reason it comes to mind for me is because my producer called me out on my track Desperate. He's like, you just casually switched into a Middle Eastern scale. Like, what the hell, dude?
Okay.
Because, like, I'll just do things without thinking, and I'll be like, I didn't know that's what I was doing. I just thought it sounded good.
It's a good thing that some of the subtleties, they come out and makes your art different.
Yeah. That was one of the things that... Because that was the first single you released, right?
Yeah, it was the first song.
And when I heard that, I was just blown away. I was like, this has so many like pop vibes. It reminds me so much of like the One More Light album.
Okay.
Like just the sonic qualities of the music.
Right.
But then you just, again, subtly just like switching like occasionally into what felt like an Eastern scale to my musicality.
Cool. All right.
And that's what sold me. I was like, this is going to be a fantastic EP. This is going to be new. Like I can feel newness coming, and I'm excited.
That is very cool and generous of you. I did get a comment on, there's this page called Singer-Songwriter on Facebook, where I put out the SoundCloud of it. One of the reviews that I got was, it sounds very much like Jimmy Eat World.
Huh.
The whole vibe of the song. Because essentially, so I grew up listening to a lot of Hoobastank, Switchfoot, that guitar-driven sound. But later on in my life, I became mellower with my melody. So it's probably an amalgamation of those two.
Yeah.
Because it's very power-packed in terms of music and the drums that comes in. But when you listen to the vocals, it's very peaceful. The whole song. So that probably led that person to say that it sounds like Jimmy Eat World. Although I've not followed Jimmy Eat World that much, which is not a good thing. Which I shall do after this interview. But yeah, that was the whole idea about I want to make something that sounds like 2003 alternative rock, like Hoobastank and Switchfoot, but also make it John Mayer-ish because he has a softer voice. So I thought, and it was all trouble. It was all impatience making this song, because there are some songs that you can finish within an hour. The song just comes to you from the universe.
Yeah.
You know how it's gonna sound like. You know what the lyrics are gonna be. This was not one of them. It took me 5 days of nurturing and just figuring it out brick by brick, because I didn't have the lyrics, I didn't have the melody, I didn't have a direction. Like it wasn't a proper song for me yet in my mind. But when it finally arrived to me, it said, "I got you. Even though I've bothered you so much for 5 days, I got you now."
We've already talked about it in the YouTube comments a bit, but I just that fiddle sound is insane. And I was wondering, was that the triggering thought for that song, this fiddle, or did you find it later?
But here's the thing: if you notice, there is like a background bagpipes going throughout the song.
Yeah.
Right. I recorded when I was getting ice cream with my girlfriend at the time. We were just hearing. It was like St. Patrick's Day or something. And they had like 8 or 9 different like they were like a bagpipe group from Houston, and they were tuning in a parking lot somewhere. It was something that I had never heard before live. And then I was just recording the audio on my phone because I thought it would be a cool effect someday. But then I decided to actually go around and actually see them. So I recorded that, and that's why you will hear girlfriend at the time, she was saying at the beginning of there's like a
yeah.
voice. That's why you hear that recording in that one, because it's actually a video when I was...
Okay, so it started with the bagpipes.
Started with the bagpipes. And I knew that I was going to make a song someday. And then I went through this breakup, and I wanted to dedicate this whole album to her. So I wanted her to be in this album in a physical way, a tangible way. So I was fortunate that she did end up saying something in that video when I was recording the bagpipes, and her voice is actually present in the album.
Yeah.
So now you'll hear her part in directing this song. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So starts with the bagpipes.
Yeah.
And then for me, the whole track feels like a celebration, which is really interesting.
Yes.
And I was trying to figure out like if there was an image that came to mind for you of this celebration. What kind of is it? Just like New York? Is it a New Year's kind of festival? Is it just like a festival in a local town?
Well, I think you heard it, but the meaning behind it is a little bit different.
Yeah, the meaning is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a celebration. I wanted to celebrate the time that we spent together.
Yes.
So even though we're broken up, but I want you to be there until, well, I mean, as a friend or whatever, to my future, to my career even. Like, I want your support, and I want you to be there in the future as well. So that's why the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just so many things to this song. I think that it's hard for me to not say that's my favorite song on the album. I had a lot of songs that like I loved on that. Fast is definitely still up there for me.
Okay.
But that song, because of the production side, along with the songwriting side, is like super high. The drum samples you used are so unique to the album, I think.
Okay.
The fiddle is just so well done.
Yeah.
And it sounded like you played that in.
No. I wanted to, if you notice, that's the most organically performed song, I will say, because it doesn't sound very produced. It sounds like it was recorded live, where people were playing that song and celebrating something.
But other than the bagpipes, did you have any other live recordings?
No. Actually, the percussion, a lot of the percussion, I was recording on my seat, on my table, on my whatever I could find over there.
I was wondering. I think I even had to know. I asked, like, did you do it on a cajon? Because it didn't sound
it wasn't
authentic.
I didn't have a cajon.
That totally adds to why it felt so different percussively, but also why it felt like a true celebration.
Yeah,
because
claps and I don't know, clicks. There's a lot of things that are not on beat,
and just
I wanted
chairs and tables and stuff. Like that's like you just had a bunch of people in a room decide to start partying.
No, just me by myself, just recording everything over and over again, and just wanted it to have that organic feeling, not on perfect beat, because otherwise it would just sound like it was just super produced. I didn't want it like that. If it has to be a celebration. God, I need water. Okay. But that's fine. We're gonna do it later. But if it has to be a celebration, then it should come out like one, where people are actually being jovial and celebrating the time we've had so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
That just kudos. That track blew my mind. I remember listening to it the first time, just being like, "Wow, I'm jealous of this one."
Okay.
Let's talk about French Patio.
Okay, all right.
Okay. I was mesmerized by the pre-chorus. This come along, come along,
okay,
come along, come along.
Got you.
You're literally just carrying us so like beautifully into this chorus.
Oh wow.
And the lyrics are doing it, but also this melody does it. And that was the moment where I was like, how does this guy pull these melodies off? They're so comforting. Like I think that's what what really sticks out for every songwriter. It's the type of like melodies they write.
The vocal melodies?
The vocal melodies,
okay.
Yeah. Because for me at least it feels like that's the most, maybe it's because I'm a singer by nature, but that's like from soul to art is like in those melodies.
Yeah.
Just from your voice. And so I was definitely wondering what the inspiration was for you on that. Yeah, what was the inspiration for that line?
The line? It was the lack of inspiration. Because I didn't have anything to put there. I just had this. I didn't have anything over there, so I thought, well, because when you start writing something, it's weird at that time, but when you finish it, it's not weird anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's stupid to just keep writing the same thing over and over again in a song. It just feels like you're lacking the skill of songwriting or lyric writing. But then when I put it in there, because it's also true, I wanted them to come along. In this case, my ex-girlfriend, and this song is actually very pristine and very true. All the events that you have in this, it actually happened.
Yep.
It was definitely 3 p.m. and 67 and all that. It was very accurate. But coming back to your question, I didn't have any inspiration. I just had a vocal melody, but I just wanted to fill it with something that would make sense and be true to the song. So I just stuck with one phrase, "Come along," and then I'll be yours. That's all I have.
Yeah, it is just well done. And I the fact that you started off with the melody is very telling. That you had this da-na-na, 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 and then all you had to do was fill in, what you wanted them to do. And I feel like at least me, I would have tried to put a lot of words in there.
Okay, yeah.
So the fact that you're just like, you just stayed.
Yeah.
Because that's all it was about.
Yeah.
Just come along. And like, that just made the line so much better for me. It's a simple thing, but it made it so much better.
Well, also to be completely honest with you, I didn't want this song to be unnoticed. I wanted people to listen to it because it's a very commercially viable song. And I've heard a lot of commercially successful songs repeating
a lot. Yeah.
Words. So
I'm like the opposite of that.
It's very important for me that people listen to my songs. That empowers me to reach out to even more people.
Oh, yeah.
And then just grow your family and enjoy the same song. That's something very dope to me. It's very important. Yeah. So I thought French Patio would be that song on my record. It would be more commercially acceptable because the beats are like that and the melodies and all the production choices. It didn't turn out to be though. It's a different song.
You feel like a different song ended up stealing the show?
I mean, I wasn't expecting it.
Which one?
It was One Time.
Tell me more about the process for One Time then, especially now that it's like your most successful thus far. I'm intrigued by how it came into fruition.
One Time. So I listened to Warning Sign by Coldplay a lot.
Okay.
Warning Sign is a song, if you haven't checked out, you should check out. It was from their second album, A Rush of Blood to the Head. The simplicity of the song, the simplicity of the chorus, it's just drawing. It's one of the songs that are never commercially successful and never put out by the artist as such, but it becomes like an internally deeply meaningful backtrack of the album for people, and it creates relationships. It means a lot to them. So it was very close to me, and also the day my girlfriend at the time and I got together for the first time, when we established that yes, we are a couple, we listened to I sang the song to her actually while taking a walk in Houston in some streets. And it was even before that, it was a dream for me to write a song like Warning Sign. Some of the songs I feel like that, why didn't I write it? Like why did this song get stolen by somebody else? In your case, it was Apathetic. I wish I had written that song. And Warning Sign by Coldplay is one of those.
So what I'm hearing you say more so is it was more so the emotions of Warning Sign, and what it pulled out of you is what you were trying to capture in your own music. And maybe there's melodies and song structures that created those emotions to come out, but there's so many different ways emotions can arrive in the same song. And that's actually the ethos of my whole album. The whole, Waiting Through Sunglasses was written in 3 different parts of my life.
Okay.
Same emotion, 3 different parts of my life.
Yeah.
And and the emotion shows in different forms. And it was because I wanted to capture that. Like, for a lot of my songs, I could have just broken them into like 3 or 4 of their own songs.
Yeah.
But instead I was like, let's do this all at one go
Yeah.
in one song. And that's why they changed so much.
Yeah.
But you can take that same attention to the capturing of an emotion from warning signs.
Yeah.
And now take that emotion that's inside of you and project it into new
Oh,
art.
definitely. It listening to it over the years, I would call it, this is the first time I'm using this phrase, but it's so cool. It's a collection of recollections.
Yeah.
Recollection of memories.
Collection of recollections of memories.
Yeah.
I like it's like one of those Russian nested dolls.
Yeah. But it makes you feel a certain way at this time, and it makes you feel a certain way at the other place or time. But when it all comes together, some of it stays and some of it doesn't, and then it becomes a song. One time was that song for me, and the guitar motif in this one was something that I was mucking around with my guitar with, and just wanted to just make an emotional motif, and it's one of the things that you just keep playing, and just comes to you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and later on, I started loving this song more when people were reaching out to me and telling me this means this to them. I'm like, really? It never meant that to me. I mean, there are so many meanings that people get that you don't get. So one time grew on me. It kind of revealed itself to me later on after I released it, because I thought one time is a good song, but my focus is Fast and French Patio. That's how I'm gonna sell my album.
Yeah.
But then one time took its own form and its own meaning, and it was so cool. It was a good experience.
You have one last song to talk about, Home. That felt like
Home.
a very emotional piece.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It made it hard even to just write questions, because I was like, I feel so invasive. I just wanted to know, I mean, that's the last song on the record, right?
Yeah.
It felt like the closer. Was that you trying to like have the closure of it all, or is it imagining what could have been? Like, what is that piece to you?
Well, I'll answer that question, but I want to preface it with saying this. Initially, if you look at, so there's like a discrepancy in my album release. Sorry. If you look at my album art, it will say Home, French Patio. So this way for you. Home, French Patio, Fast. Home, one time, Fast, French Patio, and then The Future.
Yeah.
That's how I wanted the story to go. Home is something that happened first. One time is... Home is what? Home is about missing somebody, right? Second song was One Time, it's accepting what you did wrong. And the third song is about probably coming in terms with that person, and then still thinking about the person when you're looking at things, gazing at patterns. It just brings their thoughts back in your head. And then the fourth song is Remembering the Good Times, French Patio. And the last song was just to give everybody hope about the celebration and holding nothing bad about our breakup, and just celebrate the time we had together.
Yeah.
But the way I released it was different, because the first song was not Home. It was Fast. Because, again, it's very important for me to make sure that people love what I'm doing. It's not just about me. So Fast, I thought it was going to be a dope song. It was accepted very well. So I thought I would just give this one the lead. So that was the first song I released, and then the order, it kind of jumbled up. And I thought, okay, Fast was good. What's the next best song? And French Patio came out. And okay, this is also like very acceptable. People listen to these kind of music, although I turned out to be proven wrong later. Third song was The Future again, because it was just like the reception that I was getting.
Yeah, you were responding to it.
I'm responding to it because they are saying high energy. This is so good. I love it. I like the peppy nature of your music. Then I thought, okay, The Future, here it comes. Like, it's also peppy. It's more positive. Then so that way it was important for me to cater to people's needs at that time. And then I was left with two emotional songs, One Time and Home. So which is less emotional? Which one's good?
To get us there.
Yeah. So from Future, if you drop down to Home, it's like
it's a steep hill.
Yeah, it's a steep hill. So One Time was one of those things that there's a feel good factor to it, to the motif, and also it kind of like segues its way down to Home again, to more emotional territory. So One Time thought would be the fourth song. Home came out later on, so that's the whole process of putting the order. Home is a very emotional song. So to answer your question, it's the first song that I wrote.
So it's when the emotions were the steepest.
November, when I started writing the whole album. Yeah. This was the first song that I started writing.
Yeah.
Fast was second.
Okay.
Yeah.
That actually answers one of my other questions I forgot to ask about what was first. So.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Well, you gotta.
All right, clap. Okay, you're better at this.
This has already been so fun. I'm having a blast.